I now call this meeting of the Amateur Detective Club to order. My name is Tristan Miller, the Wet Bandit.
I'm Melissa Meli, the sneaky elf.
I'm Tyler Riley, cop in a hat.
Today's show is brought to you by Audible. Audible is offering our listeners a free 30-day trial membership. Just go to audibletrial.com/ADCpod, and you get a book with that, which is something I forgot to mention just now. You can browse the unmatched selections of audio programs, download a title free, and start listening. It is that easy. Once again, that URL is http://www.audibletrial.com, all one word, /ADCpod.
I hate to make you do it again, but I believe it's HTTPS. So if you could just go back and...
Good night, Louise. Well, it's been nice knowing you folks.
Everyone's
fading into the void.
Everyone's favorite audio content for their podcasts. Making sure URLs, spelling out URLs. It's the best.
You are lucky that I did that.
I'm here for it.
So, today on the program, we're talking about something that is not a mystery, other than why are his parents like this.
More than just his parents.
Oh, for sure. That is something I want to get into a lot with this episode. We're talking about Home Alone, the first one. I tried to convince these two to watch Home Alone 3 instead with
Which
French
I
Stewart.
was fine with. No, that was 4.
Oh. Well, then no, I would have wanted to watch 4.
Okay. Yeah, Tyler was very busy when this was all going on, and I think I read the message first, and I was like, absolutely not.
I actually watched Home Alone. Home Alone 3 is the only one that I watched in my childhood.
Oh.
Huh. Fascinating.
That's got to be fun in as much as you can go back to a different quality of film, in my opinion.
I would agree that it is a different quality, but I think we would disagree in which was But we'll get into
That's
it.
That's fine.
Ooh, okay.
And that's the thing as well. Like, I mean different quality in as much as I feel like the tones are different. They're not written by the same people. They're not shot by the same people, you know.
Well, 3 was still written by the same...
Jonathan Hughes?
Yeah.
Okay, well, all right then. And I think it was just like...
But
mostly...
yeah, it is a very different... Yeah, it is like very different in terms of like look and feel, for sure.
I have only seen 1 and 2. So I have no context for the other ones, but
yeah, and I also I agree with Tristan's sentiment of 3 in the chat. Like I haven't watched it since I was a youth, and I probably would feel very differently about that film today, I'm sure.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, there's lots of movies that if I watched them for the first time as an adult, I don't know if I'd enjoy them as much. But now that I have watched them as a child, you know, like the nostalgia factor is there for me. One of my favorite Halloween movies is the television movie with Tim Curry and Fairuza Balk and Diana Rigg, The Worst Witch. It's actually, I feel like I might not be, I feel like I might be underselling it based on the names I just rattled off there. It's not like a particularly brilliantly written film, but it's actually, I think it might be good. Like in a way, not in a, like we're not going to win any Oscars or anything here, but like, I think it's good. I think it is good in a specific type of, you know, if you look at it with a wink, it's good.
Sure. Yeah. And I mean, like, the difference between, like, good and fun. You know, something can be entertaining and successful in being entertaining without, quote-unquote, being good.
Right.
Yeah, Pootie Tang is a terrible movie, but I will continue to watch it because it's a fun time.
There you go.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah. I mean, going back to the nostalgia thing, like if I watched, for example, a classic film, We're Back now, as an adult, having never seen it, I would be like, this is not good. And this is why I've never seen the film E.T., the Extraterrestrial. Because I know as an adult, I'm not going to get anything out of it.
Really?
Yeah, other than like, look at the Muppet.
You don't think
look
anything?
Look at this Muppet. Probably not.
Huh. I'm very curious
Probably
about
not.
this, and now I want you to watch it.
Yes.
I did watch it as an adult. It was another film that I missed as a youth, and I think I'm on your side with this, Tristan. I don't think that you would quite enjoy it. I do think you will find E.T. very relatable. I mean, who doesn't love Reese's Pieces? You know,
exactly.
It's
Ooh,
a piece of candy.
You know.
100%.
The ride at Universal is extremely good.
Yeah.
It's a very old ride. It's one of the few rides that still exists there that's like from the park back in, the 80s or whenever. And I had never gotten to Universal as a kid. However, I know that the feeling of that ride, and I know it's like a retro feel, and it is very nice.
I knew that ride before the movie.
I, in my mind, pictured a bunch of exercise bikes with a plastic ET in the basket, and you're just like powering a generator.
Yeah, that is the ride.
Yep, it's pretty much it. It's
like honestly, like that's the ride.
Got a bunch of bicycles.
No, yeah, it's a bunch of bicycles.
Though.
Yeah,
because like they do like really great job with like the scenery beneath you and above you and around you. Like it really is like definitely like of its time as far as like great aesthetic, but like it really is like a really wonderful job that they did.
Yeah, you're flying on a bicycle outside. Like fake outside among the stars, and
that does sound nice.
Lots of ETs around, and it's a joy, actually. Yeah. Oh. So good.
Love biking because it does feel like flying. It's so just Oh,
I don't know how to ride a bicycle. Yeah.
Okay.
Well, it's as easy as riding a bike.
Yeah, see, that phrase has different meaning for me.
So it has no idea. Yeah. Well, I've never driven a car, so I'll have to get my license and I'll have to buy you a bike. Speaking of buying things, we bought each other gifts.
Yeah, let's do that.
Some of them didn't arrive in time, and some of them got opened early because they were a different package.
Yeah.
I think I am the only one who has both of my gifts in front of me.
Yeah. All right. Do you wanna go by gift giver or by person?
Oh, let's go by gift giver.
So like we all quote unquote open Tyler's. Because we should start with there because we both have Tyler's gifts.
Okay. Tristan and I both have Tyler's gift, so let's open that.
I'm looking at a standard issue envelope with 2 postage stamps, so that...
Pause for just a second, Tristan, because I have to explain the fact that mine came yesterday.
Okay.
And it is in an envelope from Tyler, and it has a little rip in the bottom. And so it came in this USPS envelope that says, "We care, dear valued postal customer. I want to extend my sincere apology as your postmaster for the enclosed document that was inadvertently damaged in handling by your postal service. I want to iterate, there are 4 more small paragraphs. Sentences.
Oh my God. Please read
as they should.
Yeah. We are aware of how important your mail is to you. With that in mind, we are forwarding it to you in an expeditious fashion." Okay.
All right.
I mean, for right now, fair enough. The United States Postal Service handles over 202 billion pieces of mail each year. While each employee makes a concerted effort to process without damage each piece of mail, an occasional mishap does happen. We are constantly working to improve our processing methods so that these incidents will be eliminated. You can help us greatly in our efforts if you will continue to properly prepare and address each letter or parcel that you enter into the mail stream.
I have a mail stream for you.
We appreciate your cooperation and understanding and sincerely regret any inconvenience that you have experienced. Your postmaster.
I want that postmaster's name.
You could look it up.
Yeah.
Queensborough postmaster.
Is there only one postmaster in the entire borough?
No, I think there's probably different. One for each post office. Speaking of post office, there's a great novel by Bukowski called Post Office. Now, it has troubling content because he was an ass. But, to put it lightly, he's a drunkard. But the book itself is very funny, and it also gives an excellent look on these poor... I really feel for postal workers.
Yeah, me too.
The conditions under which they work are not great.
Yeah, it's true.
It's stressful. You're basically working overtime all the time, and you're sorting mail, and you have to memorize where all the packaging. Anyway, listen to the book.
We should fund.
That's the book recommendation.
Yeah,
I just finished it. You go to audibletrial.com/ADCpod.
There you go.
So, Melissa, why don't you?
Let's both open these at the same time.
At the same time.
We'll do like an ASMR thing.
I cut my finger.
Oh, I don't know if you guys can see.
Yeah, you have another layer, right?
Paint on my... Yeah, I do.
What did they do?
I do not know, but there's like red...
Oh.
Something on a...
Jesus.
Hey, it's the Lord's birthday.
Oh.
Yeah, so Tyler has gotten us lapel pins to put the little flowers as Poirot does.
I adore it. Thank you so much. This is amazing.
Did you get one for yourself, Tyler?
No, it's gifts for y'all.
No, you should get one because that way, when we go out again, finally, we can all wear them. But yes, This is beautiful.
This is really
So
wonderful.
sweet.
Oh my gosh.
Oh,
I love
happy
it
you like
so
it.
much. Thank you. This is amazing. I love it. And it arrived undamaged, so that is the important thing. Oh my gosh, this is so great. Yay.
That's wonderful.
Dress more like Poirot.
Always.
Goals.
Dope fits.
Would you like me to explain to both of you what I got you? Because
yes, please.
Yeah, because Tyler's arrived at his apartment in New Jersey, but Tyler is not there.
Right. And Tristan's is in transit, so he'll probably get it on Monday or something. But so I got you both pretty much the same thing. They're slightly different.
I thought you meant the same thing as what Tyler got.
Oh, no. Although, TBH, I have looked into these lapel pins before because I thought they were... Yeah, no, it's really fantastic because I was like, maybe this at some point. So this is perfect. But yes, so I ordered... It's from Etsy, so, small business. Gotta give them time to make the thing. I got you glass ornaments with pages from Poirot books in them.
Oh my gosh, that's so sweet.
That's wonderful.
It actually looks very much because Fools and Kings did this for Romeo and Juliet.
Sure.
And so it looks a lot like that.
Oh, sure.
And
it
might
she's holding up an ornament with pages on it.
Yeah.
That's really cool.
And,
yeah, that's really lovely.
Tyler, yours is Murder on the Orient Express, and Tristan, yours is, I think I got you Cards on the Table.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's great. That's wonderful.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not a life-size poster of David from Murder, She Wrote, but...
It's on the list. I'm always tracking that down.
We should get him a cardboard cutout. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, so should I open this, Tristan?
Yeah, while you open it, I'm going to explain what happened with Tyler.
Okay.
I did not go small business. Boo! I ordered off of Amazon. Boo!
Yay! I mean, no.
But I got Tyler, Merry Christmas, Alex Cross by James Patterson.
Oh, cool.
Yes,
Oh,
I
that's so
love the Alex Cross series.
Yeah. So I was like, I looked, I'm going to be honest with you, Tyler. I looked at like the entire collection, like all of them. But I was like, I don't want to spend $275 or whatever.
Oh, well, like, there's like maybe 3 I don't own. So
yeah,
you pick.
That's also kind of what I figured.
That's amazing. Tristan. Oh, this is so beautiful. Okay, Tristan got me a beautiful copy of Charles Dickens' Christmas Stories.
That's dope.
Yeah, and it's a beautiful book, first of all. Like, very classy on the shelf. But he knows of my love for Charles Dickens and Christmas Carol in particular. So this is just lovely. Thank you so much. Oh,
You're quite welcome.
Yay!
I figured they should be Christmas themed.
I love it. It's wonderful.
Good.
And the good thing about the ornaments, by the way, also is that even though they are ornaments, you don't have to hang them on a tree. Like, you can put them elsewhere because they're not particularly Christmassy.
Yeah. I also tend to have Christmas decorations year round because I just enjoy them.
Yes.
Like, I had my nativity scene from like before Thanksgiving through February last year.
Amazing.
Just because I like them around.
Yeah.
Oh, that's nice. Christmas is nice. Gifts are nice.
Yeah, this is real
Happy Christmas to everyone. Today's to celebrate.
Yes, indeed. Yeah. Happy solstice holidays. Happy winter holidays. All those good things.
Yeah. Happy Hanukkah belated to all of our Jewish listeners. Ended 2 days ago.
Yeah.
Yep. And I would say a Happy New Year, but said it last year and that didn't do anything. So.
Oh boy.
Don't want to jinx anything.
Yeah.
Although at this point, I don't know how we can possibly jinx. You know what?
Don't tempt it.
Jinx might be better. Yeah. If the TikTok witches curse the moon again, maybe it'll fix the world.
Yeah, who knows? Okay. Shall we do a quick recap of Home Alone?
Yeah.
And then get into all of the things about it we want to get into.
Yeah.
Thank you, by the way. This is listener chosen. And we did polls across all our social medias. And as far as I could figure out from the very unscientific, but as precise as possible method that I used to count the votes, we got one more vote for Home Alone than we did for Die Hard. So
despite my stop the count chant.
Yeah. I was wondering which one of us was going to get
it. Had to be said.
No, the thing was, Tyler was chanting "Stop the count" on Instagram, and then count the votes on Twitter and Facebook.
Yeah.
So Kevin McAllister is our lead character in this film, played by Macaulay Culkin, who has gone on to have a podcast and he's still in the zeitgeist. He's pretty fun.
Yeah, and
Recommend.
Yes, Kieran Culkin, his brother, is also in the movie.
Yes. And fantastic actor.
Yeah, and he's working consistently.
Yep. From my understanding, Macaulay chose not to really do stuff, and he's getting back into it, which is understandable.
Absolutely.
Being a child actor is very difficult.
Yeah.
Specifically in Hollywood for reasons I'm not going to get into on this podcast.
Yeah, no, probably not. Oh, so I was listening to Still Buffering yesterday, and this is a quick bit of trivia. Apparently, Chris Columbus was supposed to direct National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation, but despised Chevy Chase so much that he was like, I can't do this.
That
That tracks.
That's correct.
So they put him instead. They were like, all right, well, here's Home Alone. Let's do that one instead.
I have some more trivia about this as well, because I figured out one thing while watching it, and I was like, I need to know that I'm right. Have you ever like watched a movie and you're like, I know exactly how they did this, and I need to prove it?
Yeah.
The thing is, when there's a scene where Kevin McAllister almost gets hit by a car, and the way they achieve this is they reverse the shot.
Smart. That makes so much sense.
Because they didn't want a kid to almost get hit by a car.
Yeah, because the car, like, really gets right up, like, an inch from his nose. It's very precise. Because it's a squeaker. You know, like, it goes...
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And I'll say this. Most people on this project did not believe in it, including Chris Columbus. He was like, I don't like this movie. I think it's kind of stupid. Daniel Stern and Joe Pesci, who play the two wet bandits, were like, this is not good. So they were like, let's go goofy with it. But luckily it reads really well. And like, I think it's a perfect storm of people just like, okay, we're having fun with this.
Yeah.
And that's what makes it work. Also, John Williams was like, this sounds stupid. And then he watched it. And then he was like, oh, no, this is so enchanting. And then he did the soundtrack for it.
Yeah, it's just something about it. Certainly, if it doesn't for everyone, clicked for a lot of people.
Yes.
Yeah. So, okay, here's a recap of Home Alone in case someone... I mean, listen, Tyler hadn't seen it till last year, so...
Yeah.
So we got a big house full of kids, lots of cousins buzzing around. It is in suburban, very wealthy Illinois. And I think it's a suburb of Chicago.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. And so it's in the week before Christmas, a couple days before Christmas. There's tons of kids around. And there is a police officer, a man dressed as a police officer, downstairs, just kind of like asking questions of everybody who passes through the entryway, which is absolutely wild.
Yeah.
And yeah.
I want to say two things. One, there's this running gag of like, since everyone's visiting, no one lives there. So it's like, are your parents here? No. Sorry, are your parents here? Yes. Do they live here? No. Over and over again. Solid bit.
Right. Are your parents home? Do they live here? No. Yeah.
Yes, exactly. And also, this character is played by Joe Pesci. Mm-hmm. And everyone is doing vague Chicago accents in this film because it's, set in Illinois. And then Joe Pesci rolls up talking like Joe Pesci does. And it makes zero sense. Other than, like, he obviously, like, moved from New York. I just think it's just very funny of, like, hearing all these Midwestern accents, and then Joe Pesci is just like...
Oh, that's true. I hadn't even thought about that.
Ow. Yeah. He just sticks out like a sore thumb.
Yeah. Yes. So, yeah, there's, like, 2 sets of adults in this house. And by the way, until this viewing, I was, like, kind of confused as to whether Kevin is an only child or... if he had brothers and sisters. Like, I didn't know if all of these kids were his cousins or what was happening.
Huh. Okay. That's interesting.
I think because I'm an only child, and he's alone so much, and so he actually has a lot of only child independent qualities that come out through the movie. So I think that's why it just, like, kind of naturally read that way to me.
Yeah. I actually wanted to get into this. So this is perfect. I know you were an only child, but did you have, like, big extended family?
Mm-mm.
I mean, you're Italian.
Huh. Weirdly. No. My dad is also an only child. My full Italian father is an only child as well. My grandma got married extremely late for the 50s. Like, she was almost 40 when she had my dad.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, like a couple months shy of 40. And my dad was my dad's an only child, and He had so my grandmother's the only was here in America. She's first generation Italian American. My grandfather came over like because of my grandmother from Sicily. Yeah, they met through letters, and then she flew to Italy and they got married.
The original Tinder.
That's really sweet.
Yeah.
That's really beautiful.
It really is. They got married in Italy, they flew back over here, and then they had a big church wedding.
That's wonderful.
Yeah. So yeah, and my grandmother's only surviving into adulthood sibling, had 2 children, my dad's 2 first cousins, and each of them had 2 children. So I have 2 second cousins twice removed that are my generation on my father's side. This is who lives in New York. My mom had 1 sister. This is fantastic podcast content, I'm sure.
Listen, I asked.
You did. My mom had 1 sister who had, this is so complicated, I won't get into it, but I have 4 first cousins on that side, but they don't live close by. So I don't really see them very much.
Okay. So, and for the holidays, you wouldn't do like a big get together with all those people then?
No, because we would see my dad's family is local, so we always have holidays with them.
Okay, that makes sense. Tyler, what about you?
I mean, I guess like my dad's side of the family, he has 6, 7 siblings. So like that side of the family is pretty big. My mother has 3 siblings, so I mean, that's pretty.
Okay.
Yeah.
And where are you in the lineup again? You're what, middle 4th, middle 2nd?
Second middle. I'm the 3rd child of 4.
Okay. My father is one of 7 as well. My mother is one of 3, so very similar situation. But we would get together, and there'd be like, we would do 2 celebrations, and they were all very crowded.
Wow.
So growing up, this was very relatable to me. Also being the youngest for a very long time out of everybody, I really felt for Kevin McAllister in these moments.
That makes sense.
Because like it's also really frustrating because it's his behavior throughout the sequence. He's like trying to get attention from his mother and his father, as an 8-year-old does. And he's kind of perceived as being bratty, when really he just wants to know what the heck is going on.
No, he's really being a dick and a bad child, in my opinion. That's
really.
Yeah. The way he speaks to his mother, calling her a dummy.
That is true.
Oh, that's true.
That's true.
Okay,
he's on the phone and like speaking to him like, can you just give me 1 moment, please? And then he's like, well, why don't you get off the phone and make me? He is a brat. Like that. It is what it is.
Fair enough.
Maybe I was a brat and that's why it doesn't register.
Yeah. Huh.
Yeah, you're right. I did
right.
remember watching it and I was like, oh yeah, you don't speak to your parents that way. But like regarding his siblings and like his cousins, he's like, I don't know how to pack a suitcase. I've never done that. Will you help me? And they're like, get lost.
Yeah, they are also very bratty themselves.
Yeah, that's right. I think what it was.
The whole family is
kind of a nightmare at this moment. I mean, listen, they're all. The kids are little jerks, but the
as is said.
Yeah, but the parents are very busy, and therefore their behavior is kind of understandable more so. I mean, it's not super great. No one's being super great in these moments, but yeah, I feel like I have a little bit more sympathy for what the parents are going through, having tried to, even not having children, tried to like get packed for a vacation. It's like, I need to get this done. Yeah.
Yeah, I can agree with that. But there's this like, and then a pizza guy arrives. This wonderful character. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
And he has like 10 pizzas, and it's $120 because pizzas were only $12 then, which is nuts. And one of the uncles comes by, picks up the pizza, and yada yada yada, and then all the kids leave. They all leave to go eat the pizza, and then eventually Kevin's father comes down and speaks with the police officer. And the police officer is like, we're just doing safety checks, making sure that you have, like, locks on your doors and that sort of thing. And he's like, oh, yeah, we are locking your doors. We have automatic lights, yada, yada, yada.
This is
and
so
then he leaves without paying for the pizza.
Yeah, the guy eventually does get paid. And they do remark that they leave him a nice tip. Because these people clearly have money. Like, it's a huge house.
And Kevin shows up again to complain about the amount of pizza that was ordered.
He does not complain about the amount of pizza.
How come you didn't order more cheese pizzas? Was the direct quote from the film.
He is not getting his needs met and is standing up for himself. And in this moment specifically, as a younger child who has missed out on food that I specifically asked for, it's his older brother Buzz is a real just an absolute jerk and does not treat him well. And that he pushes him into the counter, and I said out loud, justified to myself.
Yeah, like, I mean, I feel like his brother should have some working knowledge of the fact that Kevin doesn't eat any of these other types of pizza, and, like, maybe save your kid brother a slice. I don't know. Yeah. I'm an only child. I don't know how this works.
Not only that, and this is what happened with I'm the last of three, and with my oldest sibling, and we talked about this, and we kind of reconciled over this. She treated me so badly growing up, and was such a bully, because she didn't understand that as someone who is, like 6 years younger than her, that I didn't know things that she knew. Like, she just couldn't comprehend that she thought I was stupid when it was just like I was a kid. Yeah. And it very much feels a similar dynamic between Buzz and Kevin. Sure. Also, who names their kid Buzz?
It has to be a nickname, right? Like,
let me see. Let me go to the IMDb. While I do that, take it away.
Sure. So, finally, a big mess is made when Kevin pushes his brother into the counter, and everyone tells Kevin that he's being awful, and his mother escorts him upstairs to the attic, and he says he wishes he didn't have a family, and she's like, I don't want to see your face again until tomorrow morning, which is parenting. But at any rate, by the way, this mother is played by the wonderful Catherine O'Hara.
I need to take a minute.
Yes, please.
Here. Mm-hmm. Number one, Buzz's name is just Buzz.
Great.
Number two, I had and continue to have
this tracks
the biggest crush on Catherine O'Hara,
of course,
specifically in this film. But overall, she is wearing some beautiful sweaters. Her hair is perfect in every scene. It's nuts. And I love her so much.
Having just watched her in Schitt's Creek, in which she is so over the top, but genuine.
Yeah.
And then watching her subtlety in this performance, it's really lovely to see an actress who can get so silly and so comedic and is so good at that play this much more subtle role. It's like, look, this is what an actor can do. Yeah, we don't have to pigeonhole people. Yeah. She's also great.
As the kids say.
Yeah. She's also great in Beetlejuice, in which she is much sillier. So.
Yes. Also was like, dang.
Oh, yeah. That's true.
In that film.
Absolutely. But yeah, I think my appreciation for Catherine O'Hara has always existed under the surface, but just recently have I really been able to, fully solidify just how fantastic I think she is. Like, I was always like, oh yeah, she's great. Oh yeah, she's great. Now I'm like, oh my God, she is great. That kind of difference.
Yeah.
Anyway, Kevin gets banished up the stairs to the attic, which is actually kind of a dope attic.
Where he has to sleep with, what is Kieran Culkin's character in this? Who wets the bed? They have to share a bed.
Something. They say that he doesn't have to sleep up there because you're right. He does wet the bed. Okay, he can stay downstairs and you can have the attic bed. So overnight they're all leaving for the airport in the morning to go have Christmas in France, which by the way
they relay to Joe Pesci's character earlier.
Exactly. And so everything shorts out and they are awoken, their alarm clocks are flashing 12. Everything is not working because the electricity blipped. So they're awoken by the airport shuttles that have come to their door, been like, hey, it's time to go to the airport right now. So yeah, exactly. And so there's a mad scramble to get everyone out of the house. The oldest girl does a head count of the kids, but is interrupted by Buzz being a jerk. And
every time I see red, every time he does that, I get, oh my. Megan, by the way.
Yeah.
There's a fandom Wikipedia for Home Alone. Just that's what I'm on right now.
I'm sure that makes sense.
Yeah. Fuller is the name of Kieran Culkin's character.
Yeah. I was gonna say Fallon.
I hardly know her. Yeah, let's not.
Yeah. So yes, she does the head count. She thinks she's gotten everybody, and they drive to the airport. Yes.
Because not only does Buzz do that terrible, obnoxious thing, there's this kid bugging the bus driver, a neighbor kid.
Oh, yeah.
And she counts his head.
Right.
Weird sentence.
Yeah.
And, yeah, and so they think they have 12, and they don't. And everyone's forgotten that Kevin is up in the attic, because that's not normally where people go.
Right. So they get to the airport. They get on the plane, just barely. This is so obviously pre 9/11 because
yes.
Gosh, airport scenes from movies that are pre 9/11 are something that is just.
Even the airport scene in Love Actually is nuts, and that is mostly about the aftermath of 9/11.
Yeah, that's true, because no one goes to greet you at the gate anymore. Like, the fact that they're able to get through security that fast for an international flight is wild. So they're sitting in the plane, and Catherine O'Hara is going through the list of, and actually I thought it was really great how they do not show us Kevin. They just show the scramble. They just show us them on the plane at the airport, et cetera, et cetera. And Catherine O'Hara's sitting there, and she is like, I think I forgot something. Did we turn this off? And, the dad's like, I think it's fine. Maybe I forgot to close the garage. And then she has a revelation, and she realizes Kevin is not there.
And she screams,
Kevin! Which is an iconic... in the previews of every single advertisement for this movie. So she realizes that he is gone. And then we get a cut to Kevin McAllister waking up alone in the bed, thinking that he made his own family disappear.
Yeah. I made my family disappear. Okay. Now has come the time. What do we think of Macaulay Culkin's performance as Kevin McAllister?
Tyler, I want to hear your...
I'm sure he was directed to perform the way he was supposed to perform.
Okay.
You don't think he's charming or cute as a kid? Or
no.
You don't like kids much either.
Yeah, no.
You feel nothing for a protagonist.
literally, like, I wish I could hate him. Like, I just don't care.
Okay.
I had an inkling that might be the case, which is why I asked. Melissa, your thoughts on Macaulay Culkin, who's now a grown man and can take it.
I think that he has a certain charm about him. He's precocious, which is fun. He does read, as I was saying before, kind of like an only child, like, as I understand it, meaning, like, you know, he has a certain amount of, he interacts with adults like he is a little adult when he goes out, which is interesting because he doesn't do that with his family in the scene before.
I don't know if I agree with that.
Actually, no, I guess he does.
Because calling someone a dummy is like, that's something you might do to an adult. Or like, get off the phone and make me. Like, that's something you would say to an adult you don't like.
Yeah, but I kind of interacted with other adults like I was an adult when I was a kid.
Yeah, I would say...
And people found that very cute.
Yeah.
Of course. I would say I did the same thing, but it was because I was the youngest, because you're constantly dealing with older people.
Well, yeah. I mean, it's similar, actually, in that way to being an only child, because you're constantly interacting with people who are older than you.
100%.
But yeah, no. I mean, some of it is very clearly, you know, now looking back at it, after having seen it when I was much younger, now looking back at it, some of it's a little put on. You know, clearly, like, he was directed to do this. The aftershave moment that is so iconic with him, like, screaming and at the burning on his face is, like, a little contrived. Contrived is the word I'm looking for.
Yeah.
But in general, I think he's pretty charming. I think he does a good job.
Yeah. I remember his performance differently in my mind because I'd seen it so many times growing up, and I was also told so much, oh, he's such a cute kid in this movie, by like adults who enjoy the film. And like looking back, there's absolutely nothing special about this child's performance. I think it's like he's good at being precocious, which apparently Macaulay, as an 8-year-old, was just precocious. Joe Pesci was like, he's an old man, you know, or what, you know, which reads. But yeah, I also give child actors so much leeway because not only are they kids and it's, you know, hard to do acting under the best of circumstances, let alone being 8, but also if you ever talk to kids, they sound like they're saying lines.
Right.
Like, their cadence is off because they're like really thinking about what it is they're saying most of the time. I mean, and this is a divergent between you and I, Melissa, and I don't want to get into it because that's not what this podcast is about. For example, Jake Lloyd in episode 1, that's just how a kid sounds to me. Whereas I know a lot of people have an issue with him, which is fine.
Oh, yeah.
Because for me, he doesn't read as an actor, he reads as a kid. And there's footage of like the auditions, and one of them really reads like an actor and he knows what he's doing, and then the other one just reads like some kid. And so anyway,
okay.
But overall it's not as good as I remembered it, and it's like fun, but like that is not where I got the entertainment out of this movie.
No. And his interaction with, we'll get into it later, his interaction with the old man, I think, is the best work he does in the movie.
Yeah, that scene is...
It's
always been my favorite.
It's the best scene in the movie.
Yeah. So he thinks he made his family disappear, so he goes crazy, starts just tearing around the house.
Yeah, he like...
Ice cream for... Oh, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Ice cream for breakfast, watching the movie that I presume was the one he wasn't allowed to watch the night prior. You know... things of that nature,
reason.
while always just like yelling out into the ethos. I'm doing something bad. Come out and stop me.
Yeah. Yep. He is like trying to test to see how not there his family is.
Yeah.
And then we get like this weird, like almost reminiscent of Look Who's Talking, where like he goes into the basement and like the furnace like comes alive and scares him.
Yeah, which is
I didn't remember.
Part.
Yeah, I did not remember that, and it's really odd. But then simultaneously, we have a mad scramble for Catherine O'Hara to try to get home. And also, that is a lot of the movie. She eventually does get a ticket back to America, and she has to make like all sorts of stops. That's what I'll say about that part.
Hot take. Mm-hmm. I don't think Peter McAllister cares about his family.
No.
Oh, yeah.
He is such an archetype of this 90s trope of, like, you see it in Hook, you see it in a bunch of films where, like, the dad is too busy with his job to care about his family, and then presumably by the end of the film, he learns to care about them, but since they don't focus on Mr. McAllister at all, he just doesn't really care.
He's like, oh, next flight is in 2 days? He'll survive until then.
Yeah. Well, they call the cops. They try to get them to check on them. There's this fun bit. One of the cops is actively eating a donut, and the donut does fall on the receiver and stays there. That's very funny. But yeah, basically Catherine O'Hara gets to it's not Illinois.
Paris to New York to somewhere to Scranton.
Yeah, she.
Okay, so she.
Yeah, we'll come back to her later, because that is a little bit later in the movie thing. So
Dallas was the other place.
Oh, Dallas, right?
The flight path made zero sense.
Absolutely no sense.
I mean, they had to do what they had to do, I'm sure, because of how flights are full. So she just kind of had to take what they gave her.
But back at the McAllister home, I also wanted to touch on the movie you watch is a gangster film that was shot for this movie. It's not like an actual movie.
Yeah.
It was just, it's really funny. Yeah. It's really funny. The two best characters are introduced, Marv and Harry.
So we figure out that the guy who was the cop, played by Joe Pesci, was not really a cop. He was impersonating a police officer, and he is, I know, he's a bandit. They're house robbers.
Burglars, if you will.
Burglars, there we go, that's the word.
A house bandit, you know?
Yeah, you know. So he's planning burglaries around the holidays in this wealthy neighborhood with his accomplice Marv, and
played by Daniel Stern.
Yes, and when he was impersonating the cop in the McAllister house, he smiled at Kevin, and he has a gold tooth.
Yes.
That Kevin very clearly notices because it glints. It goes ding when Kevin looks at it.
And Kevin makes a face of like, ugh, tacky.
Yeah. So they're sitting in the van plotting the robberies, and Kevin comes across them and, almost gets hit by the van, and they're like, hey, kid, you got to be more careful. And then finally Harry smiles at him, and glint of the tooth happens again. And so Kevin runs away from them, and they're like, what's up with this kid? Meanwhile, Kevin goes grocery shopping. He's trying to figure out how to do all this stuff. He also has been encountering this old man, who his brother Buzz had told a story about on the night everything was super busy, saying that he's, like a murderer, and that he's a guy who kills people with a shovel and then buries them in his yard or something like that.
And there's also like this weird recurring bit, like where you only see his rubber boots at first anytime you see him. And it's like, we know who wears these boots.
Yeah. They're trying to make him look ominous.
And it works when you're a kid.
It does.
Okay.
Yeah. And he has like a bloody hand, and when Kevin's trying to buy a toothbrush, this old man comes in and
he played one.
puts his hand on the counter, and it's kind of bandaged and bloody. And Kevin ends up running out of the pharmacy, accidentally shoplifting the toothbrush.
I did that as a kid.
Really?
I accidentally shoplifted. I might have talked about this before. I was at a mall, and my mom was in another store, and I was like, I took a toy car. I was like, hey, can I get this? And she's like, she made me go and apologize to like the clerk, which is the correct thing.
Yeah.
But it was just like, I had no concept like, oh, a mall is several small stores. It's like, we're in the same building, so it must be the same shop.
Got it. Okay.
Yeah. But yeah, there's this chase sequence with which no one, I mean, I've worked in retail a couple of times. If there's shoplifting, unless it's something, you just let it happen.
Also, like, an 8-year-old accidentally took a toothbrush, and you're sending a teenager after him. Like, come on, guys.
Yeah.
Just take the hit.
Yeah. The 15 cents in 90s dollars.
Yeah, that's how much they cost then.
I know what I'm gonna do.
Oh, you're gonna look up how much toothbrushes cost in 1990 when this movie came out.
It's literally auto-filled, and that's scary.
Google, stop reading our thoughts.
Okay, if you purchase an item at a grocery store for $1 in 1999, it would cost about $2 today. So, and toothbrushes cost about $2 now.
No, they cost like $6 now.
Depends on what store you go to.
Depends on what toothbrush you buy, I guess.
Yeah.
So we'll never know.
Oh dear.
He goes back home with his toothbrush.
Yeah.
Goes to bed, I think, because not until like then we get back to the bandits at some point relatively soon.
Yeah. Basically, there's a lot of scenes. I think we can summarize the middle a little bit more succinctly by saying Kevin's pretty confident that his family is not there anymore. He's like muddling by, but he also does figure out that these bandits are going to rob his house. And the bandits have like gone through a whole like, are they home? Are they not home? Are they home? Are they not home? And Kevin's trying to trick them into thinking that that his parents are home. He like sets up a whole Christmas party vibe.
Christmas tree.
Yeah, to rocking around the Christmas tree, where he has like a Michael Jordan cutout on a train going around. And why do they have so many mannequins?
Because
in his
it's
house?
a children's movie or family movie, I'm assuming.
That was very striking to me because there is like at least 3 mannequins that he sets up in the living room. It's
there's so many things you could like tear apart this movie with. You have to like just let things go at a point.
That's the thing.
Like this, it doesn't make sense. The entire film.
No, I mean,
gotta let it go. You gotta let it go and let it go.
The mannequins were really the sticking point for me, and I'm very much like that. I'm the kind of person who, in a Transformers movie where cars are, evolving into sentient robots, I'm like, how come her nail polish hasn't chipped in all this?
Mm-hmm.
That's me.
Why isn't she wearing a bra? Yeah.
There are no bras or there's no underwear in Chicago.
Yeah, that's
Yep.
I've heard that.
Mm-hmm. That's what they say.
So finally, the Wet Bandits, they're called the Wet Bandits because Marv keeps leaving the faucet running and every home they hit.
He's like, we gotta have a calling card because they're idiots.
Yeah. I love this character so much. He's so dumb. Finally they figure it out and they're like, okay, we're gonna go in there even though the kid's there. And Marv's like, Harry, I think that's a bad idea. And Harry's like, I saw what is in there and I want it.
Yeah.
Now, and here's where we get into the politics of this.
Oh boy.
I don't think Marv and Harry are wrong. Eat the rich. Take their TV. Do it. I don't care. Don't hurt the kid. take the stuff.
I also agree that I don't care.
I mean, yes, eat the rich, but I would rather eat their taxes than sanction home invasion.
That's fair. I agree with that. That's the first line of defense. This is like... Anyway.
Many layers beneath. Yeah.
Yes, this is very hot and nuanced take from Tristan Miller, the Wet Bandit.
So, at a certain point, Kevin has decided that he actually misses his family. And even though he can subsist on his own pretty competently, because apparently there's just money sitting around the house.
Well,
which makes sense.
Yes, number one. Number two, he does steal Buzz's life savings by climbing up to a shelf.
Oh, yeah.
And breaking the shelf, thus knocking Buzz's pet tarantula to the ground and setting it loose.
Oh, yeah, I forgot about that. Which, I mean, I feel like, just to do a little bit of script writing for moments that happen after the movie, I feel like Mrs. McAllister and Mr. McAllister can be like, all right, we're going to just refund Buzz's life savings because we did leave our child home alone and he had to do what he had to do.
Yeah. My older sister also had a tarantula growing up, so maybe my defense of Kevin is purely me projecting my own personality onto him.
I mean, I think I was doing that a little bit as well, based on, the interactions that I identified with him on. But at any rate, so he goes to try to see Santa.
I forgot about this.
And I did too, actually, until this watch. And he encounters like a very bad, like Santa's Village Santa going into his very beat up car.
Smoking a cigarette.
And to his credit, the Santa is like, oh, there's a kid. Let me get the cigarette away. Get the smoke wafting out of the air. And
doesn't Santa smoke a pipe though?
That's true.
Does it? Oh yeah.
Does he?
Yeah.
Yeah. Occasionally, it's his. I mean, I guess Santa's allowed to.
It's either him or Frosty. I can't remember.
I think they both do. Frosty.
The image of both of them just getting absolutely baked. It's a shame you have to go away so soon, Frosty.
Oh God.
Does he? I mean, if he's presumably in the North Pole, maybe that's just...
Maybe that's where he lives now.
Well, maybe not these days with, global warming.
Yeah.
Rip to a real one, a.k.a. Earth.
Yeah, honestly.
Pour one out for the real one. The pouring is the glaciers.
Oh,
yeah.
No, that's so bad.
But unfortunately, very true. I mean, even Snoop Dogg is doing SodaStream commercials to talk about climate change. We're in that place in time.
Yeah.
Someone brought up the fact that Rosa Parks lived until 2000, and so she probably heard Snoop Dogg, which is messed up.
He was out before 2000.
No, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
She passed away in 2000, and so she probably heard.
Could have listened to, yeah.
Just Snoop Dogg.
Just, it seems incongruous.
Gotcha.
Yeah. That's all.
So
that's all.
Kevin does go up to this Santa, and he is like, by now I know how, I'm old enough to know how this works. I know you work for Santa. I know you're not the real Santa. And it's like, yes, that is how it works. Good job. So he says, I would really like my family back. It's kind of sweet. And then he goes to a church, and
which was my favorite scene of the film, because there was a very lovely choir performing "O Holy Night."
Yeah, and it's a really nice performance of "O Holy Night," a song that is often performed badly.
I shared that recording with you one time, Melissa.
I've been in church so many times on Christmas Eve, and no one's ever asked me to sing "O Holy Night." Anyway.
Really?
Really. It is like the only song that I
feel like that's a no-brainer.
Thank you. My dad has sung it many times, and he does a very good job. But yeah, so he goes into the church, and the older man that he's been afraid of sits next to him. And they have a really lovely discussion about how, you know, Kevin misses his family, and how the old man says, well, you know, I've come here tonight because you see that girl over there, she's my granddaughter, and her dad and I had a fight. My son and I had a fight a few years ago, and I said I never wanted to see him again, and he said the same. And he and I haven't spoken since, and so I can't see my granddaughter at all. And Kevin actually gives him some really good advice about, in this particular instance, about, you know, just, I know you're scared, but the only way to face that fear is to face it head on and just rip off that Band-Aid and ask your son if he would come see you, and if you can see your granddaughter, and if he still doesn't want that, then but you gotta try. And I'm saying this with the caveat that sometimes it is perfectly valid not to want to see your family, and not to diminish anyone's personal choices about very real circumstances where it is not healthy to have a relationship with your family members. But in some cases, there are differences that are resolvable.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And
true.
this situation, from the little we know about it, sounds like a small fight that was made into a too long separation.
Yeah, because Marley, who's the name of the old man, of course it is.
Oh.
Yeah.
I like that.
He said, I don't even remember what we're fighting about anymore.
Right. Yeah.
So it's, it's just it gotten out of hand. And Roberts Blossom is the name of the actor that plays this guy, and he does such a good job.
Yeah.
He's so sweet.
Yeah. It's a really nice scene.
Mm-hmm. And then afterwards, somehow the wet bandits tracked him down or something, and he has to run home. And then he has overheard that they're coming back tomorrow at like 8.
9. Mm-hmm.
And so he tries to eat supper quick before, and then 9 hits. He this is something that I thought was a nice touch of, he prays before, and then he does the sign of the cross, and I'm like, oh, they're Irish Catholic. Got it.
Okay.
That's why there's so many kids.
Oh,
gotcha.
See, there you go.
Which is also the case with the Culkins. There's like 12 of them or something stupid.
That's true. There are a lot. And his dinner is mac and cheese and a glass of milk.
Oh.
It's such a kid meal, and it's also, like, as a person who is a little lactose intolerant, I'm like, oh, God.
The guts.
Yeah. Ugh. Anyway.
I was just thinking about the blockage.
Yeah. Oh. Ugh.
But yes, he has sat down to eat this, and the clock strikes 9. You hear it toll. And he has set up just a series of, like, mousetrap, the board game mousetrap style obstacles for them to face as they try to invade his home. And so I have a list up of...
Okay, I was wondering if we were going to go through.
Oh, this is 1 and 2? Oh, no. I don't want... Yeah, the real doctor... Oh, there's many articles from doctors saying how if this had actually occurred, that Kevin would have murdered these people many times over.
There's a few moments that I'm just like, oh, that's a concussion, and he would be out. I'll say this. I wanted to give 2 little facts.
Sure.
There's a moment where Daniel Stern improvises 2 lines, and they're the funniest parts of the movie, and I did just have a good belly laugh about them. One of them is, and we'll get to this contraption there. At one point, Marv has lost his shoes, and Harry is covered in feathers.
Oh yeah.
And Harry says, "Where the hell are your shoes?" And Marv improvised, "Why the hell are you dressed like a chicken?" Which is So silly. And then at another point, Kevin escapes through a window, and they're like, where is he? And Marv says, maybe he committed suicide. Which is, like, as an adult, very funny. As a kid, I did not understand it.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah.
Hit me with the traps.
Okay, so, oh, yeah, I pulled up this article, and it's just talking about all 85 potential injuries in Home Alone assessed by a real doctor. Because this article, okay, I guess this is Home Alone 1 and 2 worst injuries.
Oh, okay.
But we can just rattle them off. Yeah, crowbar to the chest.
Yep.
Knocked out with a shovel. Because the old man at the end, after the bandits have seemingly caught Kevin and like hung him by his sweater on a door, the old man comes in with his shovel and takes out these bandits.
Chekhov's shovel, if you will.
Exactly. Exactly right. So he hits him in the head with a shovel, blowtorch to the head, which is iron to the face.
Yes.
Tumbling tools. Yeah, that happened in both movies, apparently.
That's the sound of a tool chest coming down the stairs. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, that falling from a height.
I think that's from 2.
I think it happens in both.
Okay.
There is landing on a car from a height, which happens in 2.
Okay.
Falling from a height on a burning rope. From a burning
That's
rope,
2.
that's 2. Blowtorch to the head, take 2 is also Home Alone 2, Lost in New York. As
starring Donald Trump.
God. Yeah, all those movies that Donald Trump makes an appearance in is like
wrestling matches, etc.
Ooh. Yeah, there's electrocution from Home Alone 2, Lost in New York. And bricks to the head is 1. Yeah, there are many and storied articles about how much they would have died.
Yeah.
And or not been able to get up. Like, there's no conceivable way they would have lasted this long in this death trap series that Kevin
for
rigged
me
up
personally,
for them.
the minute I realized what's going on, I would be like, no, I'm going home. This kid ain't worth it.
Yeah.
But they are fueled by a fiery vengeance for this 8-year-old boy.
Yeah, indeed.
What's your favorite trap, Tyler?
I guess the iron, because
Okay.
yeah.
Melissa, do you have a favorite trap?
The blowtorch is pretty great.
I like the heated up doorknob.
Oh yeah, that's good.
Because I thought that was actually very smart. I was like, as a kid, I wouldn't have thought of that. Also, he shoots him in the face with a BB gun and also in the crotch. And, like, that's going to do lasting damage.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Joe Pesci's never going to have kids. Womp womp.
Yep.
But Kevin lures them into the neighbor's house after calling 911. They get knocked out with a shovel after successfully getting into the house before Kevin. Then the police show up. They get arrested.
Yep.
And then Kevin goes home. The next morning, Catherine O'Hara shows up.
Because
After being in a bus with a polka band, whose leader is played by John Candy, who is very charming and very Midwestern in this film.
Yeah.
And they are so annoying to her. And there's this beautiful improvised scene between him and Catherine O'Hara about how he left his kid accidentally in a morgue. Yeah. A funeral home, rather.
Yeah.
With the corpse. And he made all that up on the spot. And
That makes sense.
Oh, I love it so much. It's one of my favorite jokes. There's some dark humor in this.
Yeah.
Speaking of like more adult themes, apparently Joe Pesci they had to do take after take because he would actually swear, and they're like, Joe, you can't say that word in a PG film.
Oh.
It's not Goodfellas.
Yeah.
But Catherine O'Hara shows up, says, "I'm so sorry," and there's a moment where, like, Kevin's pretending to be mad, and then he doesn't care because she's his mom, and then all the rest of the family comes in, and they're like, "How'd you?" And he's like, "The flight that you decided not to take, so it's ironic," and yada, yada, yada.
Right, yeah, like, the 2 days later flight got them back as quickly as she got back in her very, very, runaround, elaborate trounce around the country and globe. Yeah. And yeah, he kind of makes up with his family, even his brother, and then Buzz goes upstairs and sees that he has trashed his room, and end of film.
We should have done an ad break at some point. Do you want to do it now?
Sure.
Yeah.
Hey everybody, thank you for listening to this very special episode of Amateur Detective Club. It's the holiday season, and you can give by going to scavengersnetwork.com and listening to the podcasts there.
Yes. And also buying some of their merch.
Yeah, great gifts for people who enjoy the shows. You can buy our merch too. Link in the show notes. You can contribute any way you can. It's the holiday season. Goodwill towards men and women and people.
Yeah, support independent artists and podcasters and all of the people that need it right now. That would be a really great way to spend the holiday season. You can find us on ADC Pod, at ADC Pod, across platforms on social media such as Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. And leave us a nice 5-star review, please. We would take that as a holiday gift as well. Much appreciated.
But if you need a last-minute holiday gift, give the gift of Amateur Detective Club. You can gift a Patreon subscription to someone, the mystery lover in your life, for as little as $1 a month. For $1 a month, you can receive access to bonus episodes and content. For $3 a month, you receive early access as well as bonus episodes and content. And at $10, you can even let the person in your life know how much you care by placing a personal ad during the show. So visit patreon.com/ADCpod.
And this is where Tristan, who is no longer in front of his computer for some reason, usually says, for my boyfriend, who is a Patreon patron, butt soup. Because that is what he has elected for us to say. And
I am curious about, like, what is in, like, a butt soup.
I am not curious about that.
I wonder, like, if it's just, like, a dumb way to, like, talk about soup that maybe has ham in it, since that's made with, the rear of a pig.
Sure, maybe a pork butt.
Yeah.
Or is it something that nope, lost my joke. Love it.
Leave your guesses in the comments.
Did we say butt soup?
That's what we were just talking about.
Okay, good. Back to the show. Okay, we've given you trivia. We've given you a review. Well, overview. And now a review section.
Mm-hmm.
I'm reviewing this not on a number scale.
Oh, okay.
I decided, does it still hold up? Is the only qualification. And for me, it did. I've seen this movie several times over the years. And it still holds up. I laughed out loud several times. It's only like an hour 40. So, yeah, it still holds up. And I will say I was doing other things while I was watching it. So, like, if it's in the background and you've already seen it, it's pretty fun and funny. But, like, don't devote, like, your full attention to it, if that makes sense.
I mean, you can if you want to.
I mean, yeah, but I don't need to.
I'll be quick. I guess films are 10, right? On our usual scale. I'd give it like a 1, a full stash. Yeah, I mean, it was, I guess, harmless enough. I think it's just a film that you have to just watch in your youth. As an adult, like, there's absolutely, like, I mean, there's no redeeming quality to it as an adult, in my opinion.
I mean, that makes sense.
So, I am going to give this movie like a 6.5 on actual scale. Like, I think it is a perfectly better than average, you know, especially for holiday fare. You know, like, it's a pretty good family movie, other than, you know, the assault of these bandits. But I guess Castle Doctrine, the 90s were such a weird time. Anyway, yeah, I mean, it's, yeah, like you were saying, Tristan, it doesn't, you know, it holds up. It doesn't, like, I don't think it is worse upon watching it now, other than, like, me being, you know, more educated about film and, you know, what makes a good movie and all that stuff.
Sure.
So I think it is pretty much the same in terms of that. But, like, nostalgia factor, it's like 8 at least. If it's something that you grew up with, especially, you're probably gonna like it more.
Yeah, I agree. And, like, if I'm gonna give it on a scale, I'd say it's about a 6.5.
Yeah.
7. It's actually really effective filmmaking, despite being from Christopher Columbus. In as much as that first 10-minute sequence, you get the entire lay of the land, you get the entire family dynamic, and it's done with humor, and it's interesting to watch.
Yeah,
it does lag. Go ahead.
There are certain points that I was like, oh, that was a clever thing that they did. Like, like on a technical level.
Yeah, it and despite being from Chris Columbus, he just doesn't know how to move a camera most of the time. This one is actually pretty good. Anyway, it's a decent film. It did make me laugh. It was effective. Once again, we were talking about whether it's good, you know, whether a film is good versus, like, is it fun? It's a fun movie.
Yeah.
For me.
Yeah.
But I don't know if it's necessarily good, and it's also impossible to really rate it on a objective scale.
Exactly. And that,
so
especially because,
I'm glad.
Right. So it's great having an opinion from Tyler, who did watch it for the first time last year when, you know, he has no nostalgia for this movie. So we can get an objective point of view. And I can totally get how, you know, some people it's just not going to work for.
Yeah. And I really appreciate that. You've brought up some interesting points. Are there any other things that you, Tyler, like, we didn't mention that bothered you? Do you want to go off on this movie?
We simply don't have the time. I've been trying to be really nice during this pod. Okay. Even if it hasn't felt like I have been nice, I've been trying my best.
No, it has felt like that. Can you give me top 3, just real quick? Rattle them off.
Like the child, like, like he's just so rude, and like the fact that I can't shake, you know, being a person of color watching this film.
Okay, yeah.
And like it's just so. Like, if any child could go to the police and say, I've been left alone. I need help. I need something. It's this child. And he doesn't. There's so many opportunities for this child to get help. And I know it wouldn't serve the film. So like, I have to like, let that go. But it was really irksome. Like this movie would have made sense if it was a child of color. Because no, you wouldn't go to the police. You wouldn't trust, so much, in my opinion.
No, that makes sense.
That really just like, you have so much privilege right now, and like you have so many resources at your disposal, and you're clearly just not wanting to do it.
Yeah.
But I mean, it wouldn't, the movie wouldn't be what it is for, the people who enjoy it. If there was any kind of thought of reality when writing the film.
Yeah. It's absolutely a cartoon.
Yeah, there's a lot of
that's it.
things about it that truly don't make any sense. That's a really good point.
Yeah, you should write a remake. Get Tyler Perry on board.
Oh God.
We want to improve it, right?
Set it up, knock it down. But yeah, that's a very interesting point. And like, even watching this now from just like, they have so much money.
Yeah.
And I'm like, screw this family. Like, oh my gosh.
Yeah.
I will say, I always enjoy Catherine O'Hara in anything. So like, she was enough of a pull throughout to like bring me back to like, okay, all right, something I can kind of latch onto a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no.
For me, it only really works once the bandits try to get into the place. I feel like there's like 3 bits that work. It's that opening sequence, the church scene, and then the end with all the traps. And I guess also, John Candy's character is fun, but like he doesn't need to be there.
Right.
So this really could have been like a 45-minute movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it could have been, and I neglected to say this earlier. I never saw the film. I saw Home Alone 3 was the first Home Alone film I saw, and I don't want to watch that movie again because like I'm just happy with the memory and the feeling of what that was, and I don't want that ruined because I know it's probably absolute garbage. But we did have the Home Alone video game on the Super Nintendo, and I feel like that is enough of a Home Alone experience for anybody, in my opinion.
Fair enough.
I'll have to find an emulator and play that.
Yeah, Tyler, you don't have to be nice about movies we like.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, it's the holidays, and I know like a lot of people have a lot of nostalgia around it, and they just don't want to just crap on anyone's Christmas. You know what I mean?
Do you want to crap in the eggnog?
Fair. That's fair.
I went for the alliteration. I did think eggnog first.
Yeah. And I appreciate that. That's very kind of you. But yeah, you're absolutely right. The movie, I feel, when you're bringing this up, I feel kind of similarly about Mrs. Doubtfire, which is, I believe, another Christopher Columbus picture.
Yep.
Which has not aged well in as much as, like, not even, like, getting into the whole gender stuff.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
But, like, the movie fundamentally doesn't work because there are several things where Robin Williams' character just could tell someone, like, rather than saying, I do voices, he could, when he goes to the unemployment office, he could be like, oh, I'm an out-of-work actor. Can you help me at all? I do voice acting, rather than, like, this whole bit. And there's just so many logical flaws that as an adult, I'm like, because I watched it for the first time when I was, like, 22. And I was just like, this is, like, a farce, but it, like, it doesn't work because the guy's so dumb.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so I hear you, is what I'm saying.
Yeah, I really kind of don't want to watch Mrs. Doubtfire again ever, because I have to believe, though, that if it hadn't been for Robin Williams, that the movie would not have worked. Like, because he was so wonderful.
Yeah.
And can just carry a movie like that. He can, make a bad story, or things that don't make sense. He can make work in a way.
And boy, did he throughout his career. That man worked.
Yeah.
Two alimonies and child support will make you make RV. But yeah, and what I'll say is that movie was also like designed for him. It was never intended to be anybody else.
I mean,
okay, that's what I was just looking up on IMDb. Like, true. It's like I can't imagine who else anybody would have thought.
Eddie Murphy. It would be the only other option.
And they just wouldn't.
They wouldn't do it. Though, fun fact, we're getting into a territory that I could go off for a very long time.
Yeah.
Eddie and Robin were almost in competition with each other throughout most of Eddie's career, which is interesting.
That is interesting.
It was like the rivals that Robin had were Jim Carrey and Eddie Murphy, which is
it makes sense. Like, they're all, like, when you think about it, very broad comedy performers. So I guess they were, like, kind of gunning for the same stuff. Or at least, like, their agents were, like, putting them in contention for the same stuff because of what their brand or shtick was.
100%. And, like, even if you look at something like Robin made Flubber, it did really well, and then all of a sudden The Nutty Professor happened, which is another remake of old Disney movies.
Right.
And then that slew of stuff happened. So
yeah.
Yep. Anyway. Yeah, I agree with you, Tyler. Like, yeah, I don't know if I would recommend this movie if you hadn't seen it, much like E.T. I think you had to kind of grow up with it.
Yeah, it might be. I did catch it on when I was in where was I? Savannah with Rich.
Yeah.
A few years ago, Christmas time, and we were just in we could just like walk into a bar and have a drink. Huh. It was a little bit after Christmas, and we were, sitting down, and it was still all decorated, and we ordered a couple drinks, and it was in the midst of a snowstorm in Savannah, which, oh boy, it is very difficult. Like, I think it snowed an inch, but down there,
they're not prepared at all.
Yeah, they just don't. They aren't prepared.
No. So, like, everything was closing, but we were trying to get a bite, and, like, we're in the South and it's snowing. We just grab a drink, and there's some Christmas lights around, and there's Home Alone playing on the TV behind the bar. And it was like, oh, that's nice. Mm-hmm. Like, it was just a warm, like a friend, Yeah. But it would be really, I would be really interested to speak to someone who watches this for the first time as an adult and likes it and figure out why.
Yeah. And I'm also just trying to think of Christmas movies that, like, I grew up with that I wouldn't, like, I think wouldn't hold up. And I don't think there's really, like, I think A Muppet's Christmas Carol still holds up. And I think that's the only thing that I grew up with that, like, maybe wouldn't.
Oh, yeah, Muppet Christmas
Everything
Carol
else was like It's a Wonderful Life and, like, classics that,
Yeah. It's a Wonderful Life is my favorite movie, period.
I've never seen it. We've talked about this, I'm sure.
Oh, I'm sure we have.
It's long. I don't recommend it for you.
No. I mean, I'll sit through a long movie. I've watched Lord of the Rings.
Yeah.
I also, generally speaking, can't get on board with Jimmy Stewart.
Oh my God, Tristan.
Yeah.
Tristan and I are.
And also, we're gonna scrap now that we're neighbors. You're gonna come over and burn my new building down. But no, I also, and you're both. I never got on board with Muppets Christmas Carol either. It's the weakest of the Muppets movies to me. I preferred the Gonzo movie and Muppet Treasure Island growing up.
Tristan.
Oh, and that's interesting because I saw Treasure Island last year for the first time and hated it.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Most of the time, I feel like Tristan and I at least understand. Not most of the time, but like a lot of the time, Tristan and I, if we differ in opinions on art, we kind of like understand it. But the maybe third of things that we disagree on in a way that, like, I cannot even comprehend how we think so differently about this thing. Like,
I also haven't seen Muppets Christmas Carol in like a minute, so maybe I would enjoy it more now as an adult.
Maybe
because at the time,
because like I don't even know where to start with this. That's why sometimes when you're like, this person's a bad actor, I'm like, I don't know how to have this conversation with you because I just fundamentally
We've been talking
disagree.
a lot about that with Star Trek.
Yeah.
And It's got not heated, but both of us are like, really?
Yeah. And like, I don't even know how to have a productive, reasoned conversation about it because it's just so, like, incomprehensible.
I guess you could say, oh, the horror. I made a joke, and I haven't watched it ever.
Oh, I love it. Yeah.
Wonderful.
Anyway, Muppets Christmas Carol is the best Christmas Carol, period.
I'll agree with that. I agree with that. I don't like the story generally. I've just seen it too many times.
Yeah, I will say that it's probably my favorite film. I've seen it much better on stage, I think.
Yes.
Okay.
Because that's always fun how they do the technical stuff.
Yeah.
I really do love Michael Caine, though, acting seriously with Muppets.
Oh, except for my favorite. I disagree. My favorite version of Christmas Carol is the syndicated newspaper comic Foxtrot did a version of it. And that is my favorite version of it.
Pretty dope.
That's fine.
Yeah. And also Pepper Ann, the 90s Disney cartoon, I believe, did a version of it.
Oh, that one I don't know.
And that was very fun.
This is not a Christmas Carol, but it's a Henson production. If either of you have not seen Emmett Otter's Jug Band Christmas, it's a fun time. And Tristan, I think you might particularly appreciate Emmett Otter.
my first thought was, who the hell is Emmett Otter?
It is
a character I've never heard of before.
A character voiced by Jim Henson.
Well, great.
Good. Kermit does the intro for it.
Oh, that's sweet.
And I appreciate the inclusion, Melissa, but I have never seen an Emmett Otter Jug Band. But thank you.
Oh, I love it.
I saw it in a movie theater last year.
Oh, that's sweet.
Oh, that's fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I will say, Vanessa Williams in A Diva's Christmas Carol is also very fun.
Yes.
A very specific audience.
I feel like I've seen it. I think yeah. Yeah,
she's a pop star. It was like a VH1 production, so it's like Vanessa Williams was like the star, and it's like Chili from TLC, and Brian McKnight's in it for a bit.
Oh my gosh.
Kathy Griffin is Christmas Past. It's a whole mess, but it's a fun mess.
Yeah.
And she's a really great Scrooge.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I've seen this. I think I enjoyed it.
I am so sorry.
Oh gosh.
Scrooged is the best Christmas Carol.
Scrooge,
hands down.
Scrooge.
I couldn't get through it.
Okay.
No.
Yeah, I could. I think I watched like 30. Maybe I'll give it another try. But yeah, I remember trying to watch it one time, and it wasn't for me. But maybe I'll give it another try if you both.
See, yeah.
Yeah.
I enjoy Scrooged, and I see why it's Tristan's favorite.
Yes, because it is irreverent, and it turns the story on its head, and it doesn't take it seriously.
Oh.
There's a radio drama version that I had as a kid that I enjoyed. It just is like, it's overexposure, man. It's not the story's fault. It's a good story. I've just seen it. Oh, and the Mickey Mouse one is fun, too.
The Mickey Mouse one is fun. I have ornaments.
I never saw that one.
It's where Scrooge McDuck is introduced as a character.
Oh, well, that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Yeah.
We would not have DuckTales without that one.
It's real good. It's a really solid telling of Christmas Carol.
Isn't Goofy Jacob Marley?
Yes.
Yeah.
I have ornaments.
You're gonna be better.
I have a Goofy Jacob Marley Christmas tree ornament.
Oh, that's nice.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Oh, but what are we going to be covering when next we meet? We'll meet after the new year, I suppose.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We haven't discussed this yet, so I think we can leave our listeners in suspense.
And with that, I could now call the holiday episode of the Amateur Detective Club to a close.
Gavel
and
sound.
to all a very, very merry whatever.
Happy New Year. Goodbye, 2020. Bye-bye.
To all a good night. Dee 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 dee.